The whole Liam Kumar Day effect, not really happened.
Nigel couldn't make it.
Yeah.
I've rang up Mendon all, he said he could make
Don't
it.
dig this hole. Phil, credit to the guy, he always manages to do well what he has to. He is a shocking personality. You guys got a trophy? No.
It was pre-bit.
No, my life from Rashad Mendon.
Right, you guys cancel. I'm a tag, Jack! I'm a fucking tag!
It's the LOC report again, coming at you for the 10th episode in the in-season. We are, of course, already in double-digit LOC report episodes.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we're back, and Chris Leach is with me again. We've had a pretty good record, 1 missed week so far this season.
That's pretty good, and I must admit, you know, the last time I did a whole series of these podcasts was, what, 2 years ago?
Yeah.
2 years ago.
Our first series.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, we were ring rusty then, but now I think we've got a polished, finished article, and I hope you like listening to it every week, because I do.
I certainly do as well. I know some listeners get a bit, fatigued maybe by a long episode, so we'll try and keep it a bit shorter days, so you listen to the whole thing as opposed to your own parts. We know who you are, Viv Nathwani.
Mate, that's not good form. You've done this before, Viv, man. You know what it's like.
That's what I'm basing it on.
Yeah, that's it. You've been in this seat.
Oh, that as well, yeah. But yeah, I digress. So we do not want to make this a long one, so we will get straight to it then.
Yeah. 100%.
League news. So we will start with the injuries. It's calmed down a bit this week. It was a bit manic the last 2 weeks, but it has quieted down some. And now that the majority of the bye weeks are over, we're through the hellish weeks where I believe 6 teams were on a bye the last 2 weeks.
Absolutely.
It caused mayhem everywhere.
Oh dear.
But we're through all that now, so it's really just a stretch to the playoffs at this point in week 10. So the injuries are Gridiron Gang. Jeremy Macklin is a douchebag. That's my report. He's a complete douchebag.
Done.
I will give the point. He has a groin injury. He had a groin injury last week. Injured it in practice, but came back in practice, played the game, and re-injured it straight away.
Oh dear.
Douchebag.
Yeah.
To make matters worse, douchebag number 2, Randall Cobb, did not look like he would play. He did play, and he we'll get to it. He scored a touchdown. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it made no difference, but still, you're a douchebag as well.
Yeah, thanks, B.
Douchebags all round.
Randall Cobb, that's it, absolutely.
Now, well, we might as well just round it out with douchebag number 3, Doug Martin, who's had a hamstring injury all season long. He could return this weweek, though.
Really?
Yeah.
That's it. But he's a douchebag who doesn't.
He's playing the Bears, so I'm okay.
You're right then.
I'd rather he not play and not re-injure it, to be honest.
No.
And finally, definitely not a douchebag, because he did quite well for me last
Legend.
week. Antonio Gates.
Yeah.
Hall of Fame tight end.
100%.
To be. He has a knee injury, but it's a new one. I don't think it's too serious. He should play.
It's old man
age,
knocks, isn't it?
old age, yeah. He needs a knee replacement.
Yes.
The dream team, James Starks. Haven't had him for a while. He has been injured, which is going a bit under the radar because he went down obviously before Lacey did. So he's actually welcome back to that, Green Bay running back corps because they don't have to play a receiver there anymore.
Right, of course.
Of course, they quite like doing that.
Yeah.
But they don't have to now, so they have the choice.
It's like Cleveland don't play a quarterback at receiver.
Exactly.
There you go.
Castro Gold, Hunter Henry, he had a concussion a couple of weeks ago, missed last week's game. I believe he's been limited this week. I don't know, concussions are tricky. I'd expect him to return, but you never know. So
with Gates out and Henry out,
we turn to...
Who do we turn to?
I think I know this. It was the old, maybe, is it Anthony Sherman?
Really? I don't know who that guy
I think it was an old... Sean McGrath, maybe. It was an old Chiefs tight... I know it's an old Chiefs tight end, I think. So.
Third choice... It's been a third choice tight end is not what you want to do.
Not really. I don't know. I mean, at least you're starting if it's the Jets. Moving on, Tom Science, Deshaun Jackson has a shoulder injury. He did not practice today. Do you like that one?
I do like that one.
Deshaun Jackson has a shoulder, did not practice today. I don't know his status, 50-50 at this point, but he's a pretty tough dude, so I would imagine he plays. Oh, there's a dog at the door. Tyrell Williams has a knee injury, which I feel like I've been saying for the past 2 months. I would imagine he'll play, but he might be on a snap count. We'll see. Lamar Miller has a shoulder injury as well. He did that a few weeks ago in Denver, but he should be good to go. And another good bit of news, in some ways, Dion Lewis.
Oh yeah.
Logged his 5th straight practice, so I've seen, and he should be activated and be playing on Sunday.
Well, that's excellent for Tom.
Yeah, it's ideal, but the downside of that is obviously he'll have to drop a player. I don't know what the set of his roster is. I imagine there's someone he doesn't really want, but you will have to drop a player.
Yeah.
Where are we? But other than that, Spencer Ware should return from his concussion this week. He looks a lot more likely, I think, than Hunter Henry. Travis Benjamin also has a knee injury, but you know, he played last weekend, but I think I read he only did 7 snaps.
Actually, that sounds about right.
Yeah,
sounds about right.
7 snaps.
That's not a lot.
No, it's not.
It's not particularly good value.
But he played, so you think he might be a bit better this time round, so we'll see. Carlos Hyde, meanwhile, his status is still very much up in the air. He did not play last week.
Still got his arm on a sling, presumably.
I don't know.
That's it.
I don't.
It's still bad.
But yeah, still bad. Alan Hurns has a concussion as well.
Oh,
concussion is the new hamstring, apparently, this week. I would say he probably wouldn't play.
No.
My gut feel, I don't think he's practicing, so long shot. Jaquiz Rogers, he also has a, I think it's either a knee or a foot or something. He was in a boot. He's out of the boot now, but I'm not sure if he plays this week. I doubt it. But Thomas Rawls could be making a return very soon. Maybe not this weekend, but possibly next weekend. From his lower leg injuries, it'll be interesting to see how horrible that backfield becomes.
I was going to say, that's not so clever for you, is it?
Michael hasn't done a lot lately anyway. So.
Alright, okay. Right.
Mike Evans for Pakistan, he had a concussion, but they obviously had the Thursday night game last week, so he's a step ahead of these other concussion wannabes. So he should be good to go this week.
Concussion wannabes.
If you're going to get a concussion...
Well, yeah, go big.
Yeah. Just like Jordan Cameron, who's been put on IR because of one.
Is he really?
He has.
Oh dear, is he...
It's actually quite serious, I shouldn't joke, he might retire.
Oh really? Oh fuck.
Yeah.
Okay, well, great.
Yeah.
That's not so good. Well, maybe he might knock some sense in himself and leave the Dolphins. Might get thrown to then.
Yeah, every cloud, you know what they say?
He might forget who his quarterback is. Because you would.
That wouldn't be the worst thing.
You'd want to forget that, yeah. So.
Todd Gurley has a quad injury. He was held out of practice, but I believe it's just precautionary. He'll be fine. Tevin Coleman clinging on to that hamstring trend. He'll probably miss this weekend's game.
That's it.
Martellus Bennett, I think he's had an ankle injury for a few weeks now, but I'd expect he plays. And finally, Will Fuller, not what I've written down here, has a leg injury. He's been a bit banged up, but I would actually expect him to play this weekend. So
okay, well that's good.
Yeah, it is good. So that is your injury news, nice and succinct, and I've left out all the ones that are non-consequential.
Doesn't really matter. Like Derrick Henry, who cares about him?
Yeah, he's been dropped now.
He's injured.
Bottom of my list, right. So
that's good.
With that in mind, let's take a look at the game. Sorry, not the games, the transactions. Where are my transactions?
Transactions. There are many transactions.
Not as many as previously. So yeah, cash for gold, as we just said, they added Rashard Matthews and dropped Derrick Henry. Matthews has been pretty good actually last.
He has. He is. I mean, this is strange for the Titans. He is his actual #1 receiver, which is him, which isn't Delaney Walker.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that is true.
That's a value pick there.
Yeah. Tuck Fudds added Carson Palmer and dropped Colin Kaepernick. Finally.
Yes.
Forge Flyers added Washington Redskins D and dropped Miami Dolphins.
They're gonna sack Nick Foles this week.
Probably.
Many times.
Gridiron Gang added Mohamed Sanu. Ben Assistis added Chandler Catanzaro and dropped Stephen Hauschka. Tom Starrett added Carson Wentz and dropped Cameron Braid. Interesting.
Okay.
I wasn't aware there was a need for quarterbacks this week, but it would appear there are.
We'll see why.
Because that's I wouldn't say desperate, but you know
he's played very badly the last 2 weeks.
But then there's added Chris Ivory. There's a flashback to 2015.
That's it. Wow, I said 107 yards last week. I read somewhere. And that's Warrington picking him up.
Yeah, it is. Andy Dalton Red Zone added Tyrod Taylor and dropped Buffalo Bills. It really is the week of the QB.
Yeah.
Patterson added Jason Witten and dropped Duke Johnson. Forge Flyers added Paul Perkins and Dwayne Washington. I like that, Paul Perkins, the rookie.
Thanks,
the
man.
New York Giants. Ben Assistis added the Jets D and dropped Green Bay D. And Dalton Red Zone added CJ Fedorowicz, best name ever, and dropped Lance Kendricks. Now, I'm going to pause here because we did criticise.
He was hyping up Kendricks last week.
He got 9 points, and to be fair, he dropped a wide open touchdown.
Yeah.
Just like, so it would have actually been a decent play.
That's it.
Slash was, he got 9 points.
Hey, 9 points is better than what he otherwise would have had. I mean, it's a good spot start. It wouldn't. We're not expected mine, and we slagged it off. But that doesn't come anywhere near some of the embarrassing ones we're going to come to later on.
Oh no. And finally, Gridiron Gang added Nick Novak and dropped Matt Jones. So that is all your transactions. So we will just run straight to last week's games, and we'll start off with what we did pick as the marquee matchup. Did not turn out that way for reasons we kind of did call. Gridiron Gang played Bare Necessities for the Sun Bowl, and Bare Necessities took it 103 to 68. Gridiron Gang drops their 4th in a row.
Oh, it's a wiping. It is. It's an absolute wiping. Big D didn't turn up. Big D went from being big to being not very big.
He's playing Denver. I get that.
That's it.
And my bench the way it was, I didn't really want to drop anyone. I had other problems.
No.
As evidenced by the
ultimately, it didn't make the difference.
It didn't.
Because Bears just had a better week. But yeah, there's some fairly like Marvin Jones, man. Where's that come from?
Yeah, he's been in a real cold snap really last month and a bit.
First 5 weeks, he's the number one in terms of yards in the league, and then now
Golden Tate decided to play.
That's it. Well, at least he's turned up, you know.
Yeah.
But no, I think that a down week for Gridiron Gang, which we haven't really said.
First week,
this year.
I haven't scored 90 or more points.
There you go. Everyone's gonna have one. Everyone's gonna have one.
Yeah.
What's better says it actually bumped up. That's a good week. Eli turns up. I mean, you know, so
finally.
This is absolutely
drafted him, dropped him back on the roster. And
that's it.
Much like Antonio gets for me.
Yes, absolutely. In and out. Honestly, he's the real hokey-cokey player he is. Matt Forte, coming back in, again, focal point of that Jets offense. Absolutely right. Coming back from it and just a solid week. Other than that, everyone's in kind of high single-figured points, which it's a good beat, you know.
Takes you over.
Yeah, that's it. I must admit, looking down there, lots of touchdowns, special teams were decent. It's a classic week for
Yep, can't ask for any more. But then there's Forge Flyers now. Now this was we didn't. We tipped this to be a good game. We didn't think it would be particularly high scoring, but it was. Entering it, Bananas were 5-3, while you were 4-4.
Oh, yes, we were.
It was a good one because like I said, we expected it to be consistent. You both, to be fair, score probably around the same points every week.
Yeah.
Bananas slightly more. But you both had your best weeks of the season, I believe.
This absolutely is. This is the best week for a number of years.
Yeah, you won at 123 to 116.
I mean, 116-16 as well, no less. But that's it.
Yeah,
all the 16. This has to be. I'm very, very pleased, obviously. Forge Flyers,
it was a good
123,
day.
Very good day. Doesn't normally get said. I mean, quite honestly, 123 points was nowhere near where I thought it would be. I went to bed at night at 99 thinking I'm losing the game, and yet I wake up and 123 points have been scored. And I think, wow. So I'm not quite sure of the stats, but I'd like to see the last time that team scored 123 points, and that
I'd hazard a yes, not for a few.
It's quite a while ago. Now there's obviously some key standout performances, but boldly Cam Newton dropped.
Yeah.
And Mariota put in. That's it. And Mariota, oh my word, how well is he playing at the moment? I mean,
it looked like for a minute that it would not pan out at all.
Absolutely.
And then
he scored. He scored in 31 fantasy points. He's getting picked 3 times, or picked twice, and fumbling once.
Yeah.
So it could have been a much better performance. Don't get me wrong, but when you're doing 31 and you got all of that, that's great. I love that. So Mario, of course, it's been double digits all year.
Really?
It's for a 5th round pick, man. That is, I mean,
that's
love the value.
Much like when he was taken in the 5th round a few years ago.
Yeah, that's it. Underrated. So he is the workhorse there. That's good. But can I just say, Michael Thomas.
Good play.
Michael Thomas, man. I mean, against San Francisco and their dog, but
2 touchdowns.
That's it. And one of the touchdowns. If anyone saw it, I mean, just think Calvin Johnson. Yeah, think Calvin Johnson. 19 points. That. I tell you, he's tipped for stardom. But Bananas, you've got to feel for them. They had a great performance. Obviously, Matt had a great night on Thursday night when they played Tampa. it was a long way back from there. Mark Ingram, say, all this talk about there being a split in the backfield not happening.
It did help that I believe at one point in time he had something like 5 carries for 90 yards.
Yeah. Well, he
had a long touchdown.
He did a long touchdown. That's it, absolutely. But
it was a committee. Still.
Yeah,
he did get a shit ton of points this week.
It's fantasy goal. But if that carries on, yeah, absolutely, you're right.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised. But they had a very, very good week. Had they played almost anyone else apart from me or Pat Stan, then they would have won.
Yeah,
which is difficult to say.
But hey, it happens.
It does.
Next game, Tuckford's take on ADRZ. Now, there wasn't a lot on the message board this time around, but we all know last season there was a lot of fighting talk between these two teams. Just as well, the game would not have lived up to any fighting talk. It was a bit of a snooze fest. 95-63 to ADRZ, who now moved to 6-3.
Oh my god! I mean, the Tuckfords. I mean, you won't hear me say this very often, folks, but Tuckfords have been bailed out by Cap.
Yeah.
All right.
Who thought we'd be saying that at the start of the season?
Absolutely. And they're not. I mean, don't get me wrong. Not every team plays New Orleans every week. You know, and both defenses are quite porous and there's opportunities. But yeah, other than that, you know, Alan Hearn's going down. That's a shame.
Due to the injury.
Yeah. Absolutely. But other than that, I mean, it's a real.
Tim Hightower a nice week, like I said.
Even the committee. You don't play San Francisco every week. Yeah. But a real poor week there for the Tuckfords.
I think more of the same for ADRZ as well. It's kind of like you know, Blake Bortles had a good day, and then behind that it was just a lot of, like you say, high scoring. Single digit figure,
100%, and especially on special teams as well, which seems to be what, you know, for some teams hanging in there, that's what you want, just that kind of boost of points. Yeah. So, but yeah, the Tuckfords obviously, as we say every year, boom or bust. Even more this year with the with the kind of talent they're wheeling out, and it's just they're just gonna have these wins.
Yeah, absolutely. But hey, still in contention for the division.
Yeah.
Catch for goal took on Pakistan in this one. Two of the most inexperienced coaches in the LOC facing off in this one. Both having very different seasons as well. Cash for Gold had dropped 4 in a row entering this one. Meanwhile, Pat had won 6 in a row. 6 in a row. 6. Which now became 7 with possibly, I can't remember, at least among them, one of the high scoring totals of the season. 142 to 106. Good game all round.
I mean, wow. I mean, they Cash for Gold. They had a good week, and say even by our standards, and they even managed to carry a player with 100, even scored 106 points. You know, and say again, we're seeing that the two at the bottom, we're seeing Rodgers and Elliott anchoring that team every week. They're going to be scoring points. Rodgers coming into his form, and Elliott, oh my word! I saw something.
Jimmy Graham's become a good tight end again.
Yeah, that's it, absolutely, and they've managed to realise how
And Amari Cooper. You know, I know this team's bottom in the power rankings, and that's just because they completely fail, I think it's fair to say, at certain positions on the roster. But they do have some really nice pieces.
It is good that they've managed to find Jimmy Graham as a target again in Seattle. I mean,
I regret so much where I was searching for a tight end early season. I had the choice between Dennis Pitter and Jimmy Graham.
Oh, dude.
And I was like, yeah, I'll get Dennis Pitter. Regretted it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, who was to know? You know, last year Jimmy Graham was a real bust. So, but on the other side, talking about guys who aren't busts, I mean, Pakistan looks absolutely unbelievable. We're seeing some guys here that aren't slowing down. Winston isn't slowing down. Jonathan Stewart will have better weeks, but he ain't slowing down. We've got Melvin Gordon, who just seems to be going up and up and up.
Yeah, he looks like the real deal now.
Absolutely, 100%. And say by having 9 weeks of his own backfield, it's just it's unreal. Mike Evans, we know how quality he is. Allen Robinson, we know how good he is. And they say he could have had even more Allen Robinson on Sunday as well. You know, helps when your kicker scores 15 points. I get that. Gurley's not on form right now. Yeah, you know, it looks irresistible, to be quite honest with you. And there's even more to come from the bench as well, which you kind of can't.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it is.
Just gotta hope they haven't peaked too early at this point.
Well, I hope so. But I think this is probably enough to get them into the playoffs right now. They've got enough wins now.
7-2, yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
They're nearly there. Yeah.
It's the team to beat right now.
Yeah, definitely. Next game, Tom's Tyrants took on the Brady Bunch last week. Two of the most I wouldn't say unpredictable teams in the league, but they've had a mixed bag of a season between them, so you don't really know what you're going to get. Brady Bunch, without Brady last week, who we know is the cornerstone of the team, meanwhile Tom's Tyrants have actually been quite resurgent of late, running through in the trot, and they made that for last week. 94-76 Tom Starnes.
The Brady-less bunch here.
And I think that's pretty much all this.
The 20 points that they need to win this game is in Brady, I'm afraid, and that's what we're not seeing here.
He was on a bye, unfortunately.
Unfortunately,
he didn't just crazily bench him.
No, absolutely right. No. You're quite right there. No, and to be quite honest with you, that's what it's going to be when Brady's not in there. They've really not got that much of a chance.
And they also Carlos Hyde as well. I was talking to Ross the other day, and he went to change him out because he wasn't sure if he'd play, and it was just too late. The game had already started.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
It wouldn't have made a difference, but
no, real sure.
There's not. It makes it look worse again than
not a lot of quality at running back. I must admit that you can go and pick up.
He's got Jeremy Hill, though, but again, he was in a bye, so that was...
Yeah, absolutely. So you're relying on play, but ultimately it doesn't really matter because Tom's Tyrants, they're just keeping on trucking. Some underwhelming performances. You think Andrew Luck not really the greatest game against Green Bay, didn't turn up. Although they did win, which is mostly due to their running game, but hey ho.
Yeah, Gore had a good day.
That's it, absolutely. And there's some real interesting spot starts. I mean, you look at this. Peyton Barber and who's that?
Dewan Harris.
Dewan Harris. There we go. Dewan Harris. Well, now, who knew that they would be a starting running back? But I tell you, if you put it
once again, he was quite fortunate. A, that San Francisco had a lot of injuries at running back.
Yeah.
B, that he did get a very long touchdown.
Yeah.
Again, but hey,
that's
it counts.
Who knew? That's it. Absolutely, and it's finding those probabilities, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, say Tom's Tyrants. Doing what you expect.
Yeah.
Being solid.
Definitely. Our last game of last week then was another good one. Two teams that I think it's fair to say these have been two of the most unlucky teams, or among the most unlucky teams this season, because they've had good weeks and they've just been scored against so much. The Dream Team took on Iknan. One of them had to lose this one, and again it's another case of a team scoring well, not getting the win. Dream Team win 112-102.
Going big time, I must admit, and it's unlucky for Ben. I mean, we laughed at him last week. We laughed hard.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty incredible. He got I think he was helped out by Smith played, which we didn't expect him to.
Yeah.
What else happened? Picked up Curly. He didn't do anything. Michelle McCoy played as well. So we had two players we didn't expect to play, which really bailed him out, I think.
Absolutely. Because we would have to drop an awful lot more than he did. So that's, I mean, to Ben to get over 100 points with that ragtag bunch, I mean, that's fair enough. That's tug for our desk, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah.
But Dream Team, I mean, you're right. Unlucky start to the season, but they're starting to come in, and I think the unluckiness of it came from key players. Thinking Julio hasn't really turned up the last few weeks. Has now. Greg Olsen's turned up. Big on special teams this week. I mean, we're talking just under 30 points, 28 points on special teams this week. So, that's what you expect, and there's even more to come from that. I mean, Des had a quiet week this week. But solid. Breeze ain't gonna play San Francisco every week, but take it when it comes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And 112 points, good total.
Yeah. And that was all the games from last week, so we'll take a quick look at the standings now. ADRZ now definitely in sole position of the Southampton division, 2 games ahead of the next best. They're at 6-3. Meanwhile, the rest, Gridiron Gang at 4-5, as well as Brady Bunch and Forge Flyers. So close division there, but ADRZ leading comfortably at the moment. Portsmouth, on the other hand, it's really top and bottom. Pakistan 7-2. Followed by Bedenes at 5-4. Tom's Tyrants also 5-4 now. They've really had a nice comeback.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Iknan, joint league worst, 3-6. Winchester is tough for division at the moment. All of the teams, I say all the teams, most of the teams in this look struggling, apart from the Dream Team, who is good and just been unlucky.
Yeah.
So it's all to play for, really, in this division. But Ben Necessities are leading at 5-4 at the moment. Dream Team and Tuckfoots are 4-5. Meanwhile, Cash for Gold are 3-6. Is your standings. So we'll take a quick look at the power rankings now, as we always do. Where is the power rankings? Here we go. And we have a new entrant. Sorry, we don't have a new entry at number 1. We have a couple of rises though. Pakistan remains at number 1. They look really good right now. As you said, the team to beat. But Detonators, they move up 2 spots to number 4, from 4 to 2. Sorry. ADRZ, they jump up from 6 to 3. They were 10th 2 weeks ago, already up to 3rd place. A meteoric rise. Iknan 4th. They drop 1 spot from 3rd. Gridiron Gang, meanwhile, they drop from 2nd to 5th in the run of their 4-game losing streak. Brady Bunch there at 6th, they drop down 1 spot as well. Thomas Torrance holding at 7th, Dream Team holding at 8th. Fortifieds pick one up again, they climb out double digits,
Yes.
up to number 9. Tugfards, however, they flip places and drop into number 10, and Benecessis and Kashagold remain in the same position, 11-12.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you make of the pairing?
I think it's quite. It is a fair representation of where we're at the moment. I mean, I'd like to see Fortifieds a lot higher. No, but, you know, I think a couple of nice.
I think you accept that, like, as I've said every week, it's not a criticism of your team. It's just a nod to the other teams ahead of you having.
That's it. There will be better. Yeah, obviously, keep going with these good weeks, and then it'll be good.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
That's it.
absolutely.
But yeah, we're seeing a lot of guys. You know, a lot of teams here that didn't have particularly good weeks. Had a few busts who are in the midfield. I think that's to be expected right now. But you know, you can't really argue with the top 3 right now. You know, Badetna is putting in some good forwards. ADRZ again coming out. You know, the nature of their team's going to be boom and bust, but
Yeah.
they're very much on the boom at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely.
But Pakistan, oh my word! I mean, you can't. Let's say they are the team to beat. Don't look past them this year. They drafted well. They've played well. Slow start, but now they put the rocket boosters on now, and I think that those top 3 there are difficult to beat. Iknan, can I just qualify? Iknan, even with a complete reserve side that score 102 points, you know, with their main regulars, I think that they're on for a lot more. And say to be 3 and 6 is really tough. At this point,
it's quite funny because this is almost a flip reverse in a sense of the standings in some places where, like you just say, Ignan, they're 3 and 6, but 4 in the power rankings. Benecestis is leading a division at number 11. It's quite funny, and it just goes to show how it really is quite tight in the league.
Absolutely right, yeah. And in fact, 4 and 5, as we saw a minute ago, a lot of people are on 4 and 5. A lot of teams are there. And so this is the point where moves are going to need to be made, otherwise you're going to fall behind.
Absolutely.
And badly.
But we go to next week's games now, and looking along the lineup, I think the one we're on is probably the best. Not a lot of rival games, I don't think, this week, it's fair to say. So we'll go with the classic.
I think so. I think that
Podcast Bill.
I think that's probably right. Yes.
Yeah.
I think you're.
There's a few other good games, but none other than the podcast.
This is
Bowl.
an underlining one, yes.
And you know, both these teams, especially lately, apart from you last week, you know, they've been consistent scorers. But so it's going to be, I think, another one of those close games. Coming into it, Gridiron Gang has lost 4 on the trot. You know, you pick up a big win.
Yeah.
Last week, your highest total of the season. Projections are currently 92 to 90. What do you make of this game?
Yeah, I think that again, I think it's 1-0 in the series to me at the moment, isn't it?
This season, yeah.
Yeah, this season. So that's good. That's good. So yeah, one chance of redemption here. This is a game not really affected on my side of the board by bye weeks too much. I know it is slightly on yours though.
Again.
Yeah, that's it. So we've
definitely, not as much.
Marvin Jones lost, which isn't too bad after this week.
Considering. Vinatieri Car are probably a big loss.
That's difficult. So Big D's out this week, and absolutely. So Cousins comes in, Mike Wallace comes in.
He was already in, mate.
It was already in. Who comes in?
Doug
Martin's in.
That's probably going to be Christine Michael, I would imagine.
And you're crossing your fingers, are you? Okay, that's fine. And Nick Novak comes in. Okay, fair enough.
He's been pretty decent.
Yeah, that's it.
And Jacksonville. So.
They can't argue with that. Whilst on Fortified side of the board, only one bye week missed this week, which is T.Y. Hilton. So in comes J.J. Nelson of the Arizona Cardinals.
Love it.
There you go, with some extra pace to burn against the terrible San Francisco secondary. I think this is a closer matchup right now than it maybe will be in truth.
I could see that.
You know, but I am frightened by the by David Johnson in San Francisco, which can go for it can go for lottery
Well,
numbers and that.
just scanning down, I do seem to have quite a lot of nice matchups.
That's it. Gates versus Miami, like that. Whitewater against Cleveland's awful secondary. That's good.
Howard against Tampa.
Howard against Tampa, yeah.
As you said, Johnson, yeah. So
that's it.
There's some nice matchups.
Randall Cobb, if he's playing well against Tennessee, which could well be a bit of a shootout considering how pass heavy these two teams are recently.
Yeah.
What's on the other side, Mario? You can't really drop him right now in the form that he's in.
He's hot. Turning over the ball up, but he's hot.
Absolutely, yeah. Murray again. Say maybe against Green Bay might not be seen, but he's got a constant floor. I don't like Michael Thomas versus Denver though. 19 points came out of that last week, and you know it may be difficult, but you know don't ever underestimate the Saints at home.
Yep, absolutely. Who are you taking?
I can only take Forge Fly. I mean, come on now. Come on now. Why would I? Why wouldn't I?
Yeah, fair play. I'm taking myself. I've lost 4 on the trot, and I scored over 100 in 3 of those games. I think I'm due a win.
That's it. This should be a call.
It'll be a good game. Next game, Brady Bunch against ADRZ. That's an interesting one, but hey, division week. This could make things interesting. Entering this one, Ross coming off a loss. He's had a nice run of it lately until last week, but obviously without Brady. Has Brady again now, though, if he remembers to change his team, that is. He's in the States at the moment, so we'll see.
Okay.
Meanwhile, ADRZ 6-3 have an opportunity to really not put the division to bed, but really keep their nose in front. Projections are right now 107-68, and both these teams have starting players. What do you make of this game?
Well, that's absolutely.
Also, can we all just laugh at Nick Foles' projection for a second? I know he's no longer the starter.
Nick Foles has predicted half a point, so please change that. I presume
that's probably generous as well. Alex
yeah. I presume you want Brady back in your bunch. So let's presume Brady's back in the bunch, and let's presume Jeremy Hill starts rather than Carlos Hyde, in theory.
Or Carlos Hyde returns.
Or Carlos Hyde returns. Either or. I still think that they haven't got quite enough. Even with Brady, he's playing Seattle this week. It probably isn't the matchup to go big on.
I mean, you know, there was a certain Super Bowl where he threw for 4 touchdowns.
That's it. I mean, yeah. if there's anybody else on paper, you'd say, I mean, you know, Brady is the...
He's matchup for it.
That's it. Yeah. That's it.
He's on another level.
Yeah, okay. That's it. We shall see. That remains to be seen this week. But I think ADRZ, they've merited their point in this.
He hasn't thrown a pick this season. I know.
There's always a week. I said that about Carson Wentz for the first 7 weeks, to be fair.
You're really trying to compare Carson Wentz to
Brady? Hey, he didn't throw a pick either, and now look what's happened. Just saying.
That's the argument you want to make. Not the one I would have gone with personally.
He could have been. See, you never know how good Carson Wentz could be. Probably not as good as Brady. Probably. Dax can, though. Prescott's the man. Tell you, if you're talking about rookies, I mean, my word. Right.
Anyway, back to this game.
And how Brady may or may not be the best quarterback ever. ADRZ merit their point in the place in the power rankings for a reason. Obviously, they've got quite a settled team now.
The garbage time king should do well again.
The garbage time king. Well, now, yes, indeed. That's it. I presume you're talking about Bortles.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He's got a crown and everything. Of course it's made of garbage.
So, of course it is. So you found it out of a skip.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But no, I think that...
probably just, you know, had a campaign Clinton poster stuck to it or something.
I probably has now, yes. I'm waiting to use the line, this team's got more chance of winning the election than Donald Trump. This team's got more chance of winning this week than Donald Trump has of winning the election. But to be fair, it happens.
I think that qualifies it for Brady Bunch, perhaps. Possibly.
I think that they're in tough territory. Let's put it that
Well,
way.
if it's anything like the election, that statement can only be used on a team where the opponent just gets no points. Like Clinton didn't get anyone come out to vote for her.
That's it.
I just really just said it completely off topic, but don't care. Feel it's important.
Yeah.
Donald Trump had less votes than Mitt Romney and John McCain did.
What? Wow.
And won the election.
Big Mitt.
Hillary Clinton had 10 million less votes for her than Obama did in 2008.
That's it. People just weren't inspired by her. And
/ black people didn't care.
All that.
Not racist, fact.
That's a
Look
fact.
it up.
That's it. Another fact for you. Just this is it's
And
it.
millennials.
This is it. Yeah, millennials. But, you know, Trump galvanised the white minority. However, the stat that I like is this is all we'll say about the election after this, is that Trump spent half the money. So Hillary spent $1.2 billion on her campaign.
Yeah.
Trump spent half of that and got 3 times the exposure in the media. He knew what he was doing. Folks.
He got a lot of free media dollars. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
by saying stupid shit, that's what you do.
Yeah.
So if you ever want to think about running an election campaign, make sure you go out there and say stupid shit.
I mean, this whole wave has inspired me to perhaps run for a local council MP or something.
Okay, what?
Potentially down the line, not right now.
What? I'm going to build a wall across the Isle of Wight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
No. I mean a promising new wave of politician that's actually honest, not in the Trump mold, as in an actual.
Vote for this guy. You heard it here first.
Yeah.
LOC commish going big.
Anyway, back to this game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who are you picking in this game?
I'd go for AOZ. I mean, I have to admit that they've been a red hot. They're not top of a division for no reason. They're not third in the power ranks for no reason. It has to be them this week.
Yeah, I'm going with ADLZ as well. Pakistan v Tom Terrence. This is going to be a good one.
Yeah.
Was my next choice for marquee matchup, but I feel it's probably not quite there with the Podcast Bowl. But hey, two of these teams, they combined for 11 wins straight, 7 to Pakistan, 4 for Tom Terrence. Really, really nice turnaround by these two. Projections currently 89 to 52. Now, bear in mind, if Pat wins this game, he really, really has done the job almost. You know, if you get to 8 wins with realistically 4 weeks left, you've got a pretty good shot, I'd say. Tell me about this game.
I think it's going to happen, and I say that because we've got obviously Andrew Luck's out on a bye, and there's no tight end currently. Now, if we're looking on the bench,
I think he's probably getting Tyler Eifert back.
Eifert comes in, so that's a big boost, and I think he's in Carson Wentz we trust against Atlanta. I wouldn't necessarily trust Carson Wentz personally, but there is a potential for that. So anyhow, Tom Terrence are playing with a weakened side in certainly one main key skill position.
They have got Miller coming back though, if you're talking about running back.
And James White coming back in.
Or Dion Lewis.
Or Dion Lewis, yeah, that's it. So they've got that potential.
Carell's actually been a really good running back this season.
Absolutely. So we'll see what the starting lineup of the day is, but I still think that a full strength Pakistan team, as we saw last week, has the potential to destroy anybody.
Yeah.
And I really think this is the team to beat right now, and Tom's going to have a real uphill battle to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't go against form. I say that every week. So Pakistan to win this one. Ignan against Bedednators. Now this is an interesting one because Ignan, I think it's fair to say, are a very good team. They routinely go over 100. Bedednators, they've had 2 nice weeks in a row, 104 and or something like that, and 116. But that really has been the high end of it this season. So it could be a real close game. Projections do not have it that way, but Ignan do have 3 players on the bye, 69 to 42. So projected to be a very boring game.
Yeah.
What do you make of it though?
I have to admit, Bedednators have been very solid, and they say that they're again almost unchanged. I think they pretty much are unchanged. Yes, they are unchanged currently from last week. Apart from
they took Jennings out and put Ware in.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So, but apart from that, they're unchanged. They've been all over the place the last couple of weeks. Frank Gore was a very good very good player for them last week. He's on a bye. McCoy again on a bye, and some of the lesser players, should we say, that were played last week are still in there. He's still in the mix.
He does get Fitzgerald, Jeffrey, potentially Fuller back to Blunt.
It's it, but with Blunt and the other 2 running backs in New England coming back in, that's the issue for that position. I think that you've got.
Angoskowski, that's something.
Don't forget him, is it? But I think the key matchup that Ben has this week is Larry against San Francisco, which could be an absolute bloodbath, and Jeffrey against Tampa. If the QB, whoever it is in Chicago, whoever may start this week, is it going to be Carter? Okay, well that's it. If he can get the same kind of luck against that D as others have got this season, then I think those 2 could be real game changers.
Yeah.
But
who are you taking?
I'm taking Bedednators. I think they've proved enough that they, regardless of who they're playing, they're going to put up a consistent floor, and that's difficult to beat.
Yeah, I don't know. This is a tough one for me because I completely agree. Bananas do consistently get that amount, but I don't know. It kind of just seems like you say in the Tuckfields-esque way, they just seem to get the points.
Yeah.
I agree. They were without McCoy and Gore, two big centerpieces, and yeah, I think on that balance, I'd have to go with Bananas. It's just because there are some names not very pretty that will be starting for Ignan, so yeah, I'll take Bananas as well. Next gen, then Ben Necessities against Cash for Gold. I think this might be the first repeat matchup for Cash for Gold.
Okay.
So second, I believe they've already played Ben Necessities. Yes, they must have because all the teams this week I think have already played each other.
Yeah.
So entering this one, Ben Necessities currently leads the division at 5-4. It's slim though. Meanwhile, Cash for Gold, after leading the division early on, has lost 5 in a row. We'll be looking to bring one back here. They are currently projected to win 73-62. However, Ben Necessities are missing their special teams. Tell me about this game.
That's it. They're missing their special teams, and as we see, good special teams difficult to come by. There's not a lot of quality Ds left.
He's got options on the bench, they're just not in the line. Catanzaro against San Francisco.
I won the Jets
against LA. So
that's it.
As far as special teams go, I think he'd be pretty happy.
I got burned by the Jets. So if the Jets can't defend,
they are playing Case Keenum.
Yeah, I don't know, playing against whoever it might have been playing for Cleveland, and they got burned. So you know. Anyhow, Cash for Gold. These two at the bottom of the power rankings now. It's probably a good matchup for both of these teams right now because say scrabbling around for a win is difficult to come by, and so I think that Ollie really does need to win a game like this where you're playing somebody who's maybe in the same position as you are at this point of the season, because although if he doesn't win this, it's a long way back for any kind of relevance. On the other side, Ben Necessities, they look fairly settled. But I don't like some of the. They're two starting receivers for a start. One's playing Denver. Brandon Cook's playing Denver, who seems to be a bit out of nick at the minute, and Stephon Diggs playing Washington in Washington, with some terrible offensive line play from the Vikings right now. It's going to be difficult for him to find some space.
We all know DeAndre Hopkins struggles this season.
Yeah, absolutely right, and he's not being thrown to by a quality QB. So
I think even saying QB is probably generous.
Quite possibly. So yeah, I think that's going to really let them down this week. On the other side, you look at Doug Baldwin versus New England. You've got that does have the makings of an absolute QB fest when you've got Wilson v Brady, and I think that there's one game that he might come into relevance. It's going to be there. Elliott's been playing well. Rodgers against Tennessee again. That's looking to be a high scoring matchup with two pass heavy teams. He's gone with Rashad Matthews, as we said earlier on. He's the number one receiver in Tennessee right now. So yeah, I think that Cash for Gold maybe has the better matchups in this game, and that's why I'm going to go for them.
I'm going for them as well.
Okay.
Yeah. Just screw up the division even more. Why not?
Why not?
And our last game, Tuckfields take on the Dream Team. Another one of those divisional matchups, and both of these ones are 4-5, so it's really going to make that Winchester division interesting. Heading into this one though, Tuckfields are coming off a loss. They've crashed down to earth a bit, I think it's fair to say, back to where they were. And the Dream Team meanwhile pick up a win, rightly so, with how their season has gone. Projections again kind of middling, but Tuckfields have not put in quarterback yet. 77-74 in favour of Tuckfields. What do you make of this game?
Well, I think maybe it does say a lot about it when the projections are very similar and there's no QB in for the Tuckfields, and I must admit, the Dream Team have been unlucky recently, and I think that their team does warrant a little bit more than what the projections say that they do. However, James Starks at running back, that could be a bit of a hole, and one that they might not be able to fill particularly well. I see that they've got Green Bay's fourth choice running back on the bench.
Don Jackson.
Yeah, so that might be an interesting play. So we'll see how that goes. On the other side, I'm looking down the Tuckfields, and to be quite honest with you, they've got players that can really do some damage this week.
Yeah.
Barring the fact they haven't got a QB in the lineup yet, that I would have thought will be either Roethlisberger or Palmer, depending on who play. I would have thought probably Palmer against San Francisco is a better play this week.
Yeah.
Simply because, obviously we've seen how interesting San Francisco's D is. So, be that as it may, I think that there's some serious upside here, and say there's a lot of home games for key players. Viv, you're going to be struggling this week, pal. I know you've just tuned in right now to hear me say that, but yeah, it could be an interesting game here. In terms of the Tuckfards managing to pull out somehow from the heap that they have a performance, but yeah, it wouldn't be the first time that's happened.
No, certainly wouldn't. Boy, I mean, I've been heaping credit on Phil this season, rightly so for what he's been able to do. But despite that, I'm actually going to go with the Dream Team this week.
Okay.
And yeah, it's just I don't know. I think the Dream Team is just it's the more likely team to do well.
Yeah.
I think we see Dream Team pretty consistently do good scores, whereas Tuckfards, we can see them have a great week or a bad week.
Yeah, you roll the dice on him. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Roll the dice on the Tuckfards.
And that is the end of our podcast.
Well,
So,
there you go. I
awesome.
hope, listeners, that you enjoyed our more succinct listening.
Yeah,
we listen to reviews.
We do, and we also had political insight this week, so we keep you educated as well.
That's it, topical and current. That's what we want to keep the LOC report.
Speaking of which, do you want to take us out?
Yeah, well, that's it. In the week that Trump wins the election, that's it. Stranger things have happened, and you never know. You never know. That's it. If you're Icknan, and if you're Cash for Gold, even if you're Forge Flyer, you could still win the league. There's no barring what you can do. Let's make the LOC great again.
And with that, we'll see you next week.